I have one question for someone in charge. Aren't you speaking? Yeah, so please join. For everyone speaking, please join. Sorry.
Good catch.
The superstar. Sorry about that. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us here today in the press briefing room. My name is James Parrish. Right now, LGBTQ Virginians can be fired, evicted, or denied service in public places like restaurants, shops, and even doctors' offices just because who they are or who they love. This General Assembly, we're going to change that with a law to protect LGBTQ individuals from discrimination in their daily lives. Before I announce our speakers, all the great people joining me behind, and some of our elected officials, I'm excited to share with you that I am leaving my role as the Executive Director of Equality Virginia on January 1 to serve as the Director for the Virginia Values Coalition, which includes organizations and individuals solely focused on passing non-discrimination protections for LGBTQ Virginians. Many of the are you clapping because I'm leaving? Many of these organizations are here today to speak to how critical it is to pass these protections. I'm also thrilled to announce that Equality Virginia's board has elected V. Lamnick, our organization's 4th executive director, sitting in the back today. As V and I will still be working together as Equality Virginia remains part of the Virginia Values Coalition. Non-discrimination protections are long overdue for Virginia's LGBTQ community, and it's imperative lawmakers pass these protections during the General Assembly. To kick off today's press conference, I'm excited to introduce Speaker Designate Eileen Fillercorn.
Thank you so much, James. Thank you for your leadership of Equality for Virginia, and we look forward to all the great things you'll do moving forward in your new position as well. Thank you, President Alfonso David, on the Human Rights Campaign for, oh, it's actually right behind me, sorry. For your record investment. We so appreciate your investment in Virginia and Virginia this past year in our elections. Truly appreciate it. Our great victories truly would not be possible without all your support and so many of you here today. I also see here so many friends, so many partners, and of the Virginia Values Coalition as well. And I'm just here to say that I'm honored to stand with you and to fight alongside you to make Virginia a more equitable and fair and equal Commonwealth. We have achieved so much to date, and yet I'm here to tell you we've got so far to go, and that is why we are here today. So we are going to act on what the voters demanded at the polls on Election Day. We heard them loud and clear. We're going to act and move swiftly. We're long overdue in protecting Virginia's LGBTQ community. It's unacceptable to me, and to others, and clearly the voters, that in 2019 a Virginian can be fired or evicted or denied service at a restaurant because of who they are, who they love. Change is long overdue, and I'm thrilled that we're going to make that change. 2020 is coming. It's right around the corner. It's unacceptable that in 2019, bipartisan anti-discrimination legislation died in the House of Delegates on a floor vote. Change is long overdue, and in 2020, change is coming. It's unacceptable that in 2019, Virginia is one of 30 states in America where members of the LGBTQ community are not explicitly protected from discrimination. And that bears repeating. Members of the LGBTQ community are not explicitly protected from discrimination. Change is long overdue, and in 2020, change is coming. Virginia needs comprehensive protections for the LGBTQ brothers, sisters, friends, co-workers. And in 2020, I'm here to tell you, we will deliver them. We will ensure that every Virginian can work hard, earn a living wage, live their lives without fear of discrimination. And currently today, we cannot say that. Much like we celebrated being top of the list for the best state to do business, I look forward to celebrating Virginia dropping off the list of states without complete legal protections for the LGBTQ community. These protections are an essential part of creating a more prosperous Commonwealth for all Virginians. Protecting our friends, family members, and neighbors from discrimination is not progressive or democratic concept. It really should be and is the core of who we are as Virginians. Working for equality, working for civil rights is at the heart of our mission as public servants. And it is why we do what we do every single day. Not only is it the right thing to do to pass laws, it's also what Virginians want. And we saw that on Election Day. We saw that at the polls. The polls show us, too, that more than 2/3 of Virginians want and support non-discrimination laws. Discrimination against our gay, lesbian, transgender friends in employment, in housing, and public accommodations, again, is simply unacceptable. And in 2020, we will pass legislation to make it illegal. I truly thank the Virginia Values Coalition and all my friends and partners in the room today for helping us to get to where we are at this moment. And I promise you, we will not let you down. Thank you.
And before I move along with our speakers, I also want to acknowledge other members of the House that are here with us today. Delegate Dawn Adams, thank you for attending, and Delegate Danica Roan, thank you for attending. Now please welcome to the stage Senator Eben. I'm looking at the wrong list of names. Please welcome to the stage Alfonso David with the Human Rights Campaign.
Good afternoon. Today we are here to follow up on our pledge that the laws in the Commonwealth of Virginia reflect and protect everyone in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Today we're here to celebrate the voice of the people as reflected in the new legislature and see it manifested in the laws of the Commonwealth of Virginia. A few weeks ago, voters in the Commonwealth of Virginia turned out in force. They turned out in force to vote for change. And after years of politicians playing politics with the lives of LGBTQ people and affecting access and restricting progress in Richmond, the people of Virginia voted for a new direction. And today we're taking an important step in that new direction. As you heard from Speaker, we are announcing our intent to advance landmark comprehensive legislation to protect LGBTQ Virginians and others from discrimination. This legislation will expressly prohibit discrimination against LGBTQ people in employment, in housing, and public accommodations. The legislation will also strengthen protections for all Virginians, including along the lines of race and sex. This legislation would bring Virginia in line with the nationwide Convention of Prohibiting Discrimination Against LGBTQ People in Employment, in Housing, and Public Accommodations. And it would make Virginia the 21st state in this nation to provide these crucial protections to the LGBTQ community. Here in Virginia and across the country, discrimination unfortunately remains a serious and persistent problem for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and queer people. Nearly 2/3 of LGBTQ people in this country report experiencing discrimination in some facet of their lives. LGBT people cannot afford to wait any longer. That is why earlier this year, the Human Rights Campaign made the largest investment in the state legislative election in any state legislative election in our history. We endorsed 27 candidates across the Commonwealth, and our grassroots army knocked on more than 13,500 doors, and we made more than 10,000 calls in key districts. With our partners, we worked to mobilize the more than 1.2 million pro-equality voters right here in the Commonwealth of Virginia to elect new leadership in Richmond that will put the needs of LGBTQ people and the needs of Virginians ahead of the needs of special interests. Now, we don't just build political power to have it. We build political power to use it. And today we are seeing the results of change that so many up here and so many throughout the Commonwealth helped make possible. At a time when we're working to pass the Equality Act in Washington, Virginia still has an opportunity to be an example for the nation by passing these crucial protections. Not only is it the right thing to do, It's also supported by approximately 70% of Virginians, including the majority of Republican voters. We must pass legislation for the lesbian couple who's denied a home simply because of who they are. We must pass legislation for the transgender factory worker who faces discrimination at work. We must pass comprehensive protections for the bisexual man who's being denied crucial services simply because of who he is. We must pass legislation for the next generation so that they do not have to face discrimination without any recourse. On behalf of the Human Rights Campaign and our more than 3 million supporters and members, I want to thank my fellow members of the Virginia Values Coalition for all of the hard work that they do. And I will also like to thank, a special thank to Speaker Designee Eileen Phillicorn for all of her work, for all of her incredible support, including passing and committing to passing comprehensive non-discrimination protections that include the LGBTQ community and includes all Virginians. And finally, I would like to thank the people of Virginia. This is an old slogan that elections actually matter and elections have consequences, and they do. But more important than that, tonight and today, we're seeing that the voices of Virginians can actually have an impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfonso. Please welcome to the stage at the podium Zakiya McKenzie with Nations Foundation.
Good afternoon. My name is Zakiya McKenzie, and I'm a proud Virginian. I was born and raised here in Virginia. I'm a homeowner, I'm a small business owner, and I'm a taxpayer. Most importantly, I'm a transgendered woman. Growing up, I didn't know anyone who was transgender and didn't have the words to describe how I was feeling. When I was 17, I transitioned and began living every day as the woman I knew myself to be. I found friends who were also transgender and connected me to the resources I needed. Now I work every day to provide that same support to transgender people through my nonprofit organization, Nations Foundation. I'm here today to stress the importance of passing a non-discrimination bill for gay and transgender Virginians because I see our current crisis firsthand. Transgender people, especially transgender women of color, are vulnerable to discrimination, harassment, and violence just for being who we are. And we need our lawmakers to do something about it. Right now, LGBTQ Virginians can be fired, evicted, or denied service in public spaces like restaurants, shops, and even doctor's offices just because of who they are and who we love. I hear stories of discrimination every single day. I have personally experienced homelessness because of discrimination. I have lost jobs because I am transgender, and I have had an extremely difficult time finding a new location for our nation's office because of the community that our organization supports. The stakes are even higher for people who are looking for an apartment that will get them off the street, or folks who will relocate to Virginia and need to find a new home for themselves and their families. Today, I'm asking lawmakers to make Virginia safe for me. Living in a place where discrimination is legal causes me great anxiety. I'm a homeowner, I'm a business owner, I pay taxes, I contribute to the economy, I serve my community. I just want to be free to be me and be my best me. And everyone in my community wants the same thing. Please pass these comprehensive protections in employment, housing, and public spaces and make Virginia safe for me and for us, and I thank you.
Thank you, Zakiya. Next, please welcome to the podium Hannah Willard with Freedom for All Americans.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hannah Willard, and I'm the Senior Director of Campaigns at Freedom for All Americans. We were founded as a bipartisan campaign with one ultimate goal: to win non-discrimination protections for every single LGBTQ American in employment, housing, and public spaces. Until that day comes, We are fighting for non-discrimination laws in Virginia and in the 29 states across the country that lack these protections. We are proud to work with the Virginia Values Coalition with legislative leadership, Speaker-designee Eileen Fillercorn, Senate Majority Leader Dick Saslaw, who couldn't be here with us today, Senator Eben, and these other members of the legislature to make this a reality in 2020. Bringing people together from all walks of life is more important than ever, and that's exactly what the Virginia Values Coalition is all about. It's about building a commonwealth where each and every Virginian can go about their daily lives without the fear of discrimination or violence, no matter who they love, what they believe, where they live, or who they are. The good news is, bipartisan support for these common sense protections has been skyrocketing here in Virginia and across the nation. The Virginia Values Coalition includes over 150 faith leaders, over 1,000 small business owners, nearly 50 local, state, and national organizations, and growing numbers of law enforcement officers and local elected officials. Across lines of party, demographics, and geography, it's clear that Virginians are ready to see their LGBTQ neighbors protected from discrimination. In 2020, Virginia has a golden opportunity to lead the South, as Virginia so often does. A win here in Virginia would energize the LGBTQ movement across the country and would put pressure on Congress to pass full federal protections for all LGBTQ Americans. In this polarizing political climate, it often feels like there's so little that Americans can agree on. But we can all agree that discrimination is wrong, period. No one should have to face barriers to love who we love, to work hard, and to fully participate in our communities. LGBTQ people deserve protection in every zip code nationwide, and we're proud to be here today with the Virginia Values Coalition to make that a reality here in the Commonwealth next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Next, joining us at the podium is Claire Guthrie-Gastanaga with the ACLU of Virginia.
Good afternoon. The ACLU nationally and in Virginia is a nonpartisan organization that seeks to advance civil liberties and civil rights for everyone. The ACLU has been in the fight for equal opportunity and full human dignity for LGBTQ people since the very day of its inception 100 years ago. We started very early by fighting against censorship of Lillian Hellman's plays in Boston because the play had lesbian content. And in Virginia, we've been standing with and alongside our friends in the LGBTQ community for many, many years, decades in our 50-year history. The ACLU is proud to be here today to stand here alongside, behind, and with all of our allies and friends from the organizations and also from the legislature. And we're grateful for the amount of support that's being brought to this issue at this particular time. We're very hopeful that we will, together with all of you and with Virginians, achieve what everyone has laid out as a key objective for 2020, which is to make sure that we, in fact, finally have a Commonwealth where everyone feels included and where everyone is treated with equal dignity. There is no question that all people should be treated fairly and equally and have the opportunity to earn a living, access housing, and participate fully in society and get services that they need without discrimination. There is no question that in 2020, Virginia's lawmakers must pass comprehensive non-discrimination laws that protect all Virginians and specifically include LGBTQ Virginians. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Claire. Next, joining us at the podium is Mara Kiesling with the National Center for Transgender Equality.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mara Kiesling, the Executive Director of the National Center for Transgender Equality. I am incredibly proud to stand with the Virginia Values Coalition and with these amazing state legislators and with friends. I stand here with some urgency. Remember, this isn't about just passing a bill. This isn't about making a law. This is about making people's lives better, protecting people. If you cannot have a job, if you cannot have secure housing, if you cannot participate in public places, you cannot be a full member of society. And that's what's happened to transgender Virginians for way too long. Our organization in our 2015 U.S. Trans Survey, interviewed 723 Virginian trans and non-binary identified folks. And what we saw was that disrespect, discrimination, and violence were pervasive. This legislation will go a long way to protecting people, to giving people the tools they need to stand up for themselves, and for sending an important message that disrespect, discrimination, and violence are not okay. That survey of 723 Virginians showed that 23% were living in poverty. 27% who were employed that year said they had faced being fired, denied a promotion, or experienced some sort of mistreatment at work because of their gender identity or expression. 20% saw some form of housing discrimination in the last year. And Zakia talked about homelessness. In fact, 26% of the trans Virginians we talked with had faced homelessness sometime in their lifetime. 31% of us had faced at least one type of discrimination while we were accessing public places and public services. It is pervasive. This bill will go a long way. This legislation, when it becomes law, will go a long way in helping us all fix that. This isn't about statistics, though. It is about real people. Those 723 Virginians in our survey represent a lot more people than that. And we hope you keep them in mind as you work with us all at the Virginia Values Coalition to move this forward, to get this passed, to get it into law, and then to implement it. It is so important for so many people. So please, everybody, please continue to work to pass this law. We will be standing right with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Maura. And now, welcome to the podium, Senator Evan Edelman.
Thanks. Hey, good afternoon. And I want to thank you, James, and I also want to thank you for your service to Equality Virginia and look forward to your continuing service with the Virginia Values Coalition. And welcome, V. I've been looking forward to this day for a very long time. I first came to Virginia, to Richmond, more than 25 years ago. I came for a lobby day for a LGBT rights organization that was then called Virginians for Justice. And we went around to the neighbors, to the legislators' doors, and met with their receptionists and asked if they could have the member come out and speak with us. And more often than not, the answer was no. They were not there to see us. They were going to avoid us. And you would have surprised me if you told me that years later I'd become the first openly gay member of the Virginia Senate. And even a few years ago, surprised me if I knew that I'd be part of a 5-member caucus, where I'm so proud to be affiliated with Delegate Dawn Adams and Delegate Danica Rome, who have joined us here today. And of all my 16 years in office, I'm most finally convinced that non-discrimination legislation will finally pass this session. And finally we're seeing Virginia wake up from a history that hasn't always been a good one for civil rights and equality. And we know that although a gay couple can get married in Virginia on Sunday, the sad reality is that they can get fired on Monday, evicted on Tuesday, and denied a hotel room that night. Discrimination is a real and urgent problem. It disproportionately impacts the most vulnerable members of our society, the members of our society who I hope my fellow legislators are most focused on protecting. That's why a majority of Virginians from all walks of life gave support for these protections. They support them. And we've known that for years, but the voters gave us a proof point on November 5th. We've been long looking forward to the day when parliamentary machinations and shenanigans would end, and that day has ended. Now we have real leadership committed to enshrining these protections in the code, and I want to thank Speaker Fillercorn for that. I want to thank Leader Saslaw, who couldn't be here today, for that. But we know that their strong commitment will mean equality for all Virginians, along with the votes of their caucuses. This will be a big step in the right direction for Virginia, for our residents, and for our economy. Every Virginian should be able to live, work, and access basic services for free from discrimination and harassment, no matter who they are, no matter who they love. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Eben. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you all for being part of the Virginia Values Coalition. Thank you again, Speaker Designate Eileen Fillercorn, for joining us, Delegate Dawn Adams, and Delegate Danica Rome. I know everyone up here are going to remain in the room for individual questions if any of the reporters or press had something to pose to them. Thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it.